Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Great Journey.
The Great Journey.
Beautiful guys, a book club podcast where we delve into the world of Halo one installment at a time. We're covering books, graphic novels, films, and the games, talking them over in a very informal and fun way. The fun is mandatory. My name is Jim. I'm your host for tonight. Welcome our usual cast of co-hosts, Robbie, Charlie, Will, Tom, and James. Last episode, we wrapped up the Fall of Reach comic series. Really cool graphic novel there. Saw fighting on the surface of Sigma Octanus, where the Covenant were in search of an ancient artifact. You guys know the story by now. We've kind of discussed it in kind of 5 different flavors, but still really cool to see it in comic book form. So jumping over right into it, there was one question we raised from our last discussion that we needed to follow up on, the number of ships involved in the Battle of Reach. So we're going to nerd out really quick. Everybody warm up your fingers and get on Halopedia. Fall of Reach had some of the largest deployments of personnel and material in the Human Covenant War. By August 30th, there were 315 Covenant ships and 152 UNSC ships. Numerous Spartans of multiple generations, Marines, Army soldiers, Navy personnel also took part in the battle. So definitely different from the comic where it was, much more larger scale, right? Where there was just this huge mass of Covenant ships versus what we saw in some of the animated stuff.
The comic said 700 ships, which is over double from what the book portrayed. So, yeah, last time we were together, we were talking about, it sounded like that was a weird number. I don't know how they came up with that number for the comic, but it was different from the book for sure.
Yeah. Honestly, I think the larger number makes a little more sense to me if, like, the Covenant probably knew. I mean, that was the plan, right? To figure out where the humans' base was, so they would want to just absolutely overwhelm it. So send everything they had at it.
Yeah, that's fair. But the thing we were talking about originally was this like 3-to-1 ratio, where it would take three UNSC ships to kill one of their ships and whatever.
Yeah.
And then in the book, it was kind of like a reversal where they finally had 3-to-1 ratio. I guess the numbers
the other way around.
The numbers officially were more like 2-to-1, but
yeah.
Yeah.
In the book too, it makes it sound like UNSC had more of a fighting chance than in some of the other depictions. Like you said, the 3-to-1 thing where it seems like the UNSC was able to. It's in the textbook. They were able to kind of figure out how to take out some ships, and it seemed like they really thinned out the Covenant fleet at a certain point. But there was just like once they lost the Mac guns, they were just kind of screwed.
Yeah, and then there was even more reinforcements coming. So
yeah, right. Then there's jumping in.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Yep.
A lot of ships. So before we start our discussion on the game, we're going to all go around and self-shame if any of us played the game on easy mode and just admit how difficult we were setting the game at. So I did it on heroic. I don't think I've ever beaten a Halo game on legendary, but I did do this on heroic.
That's respectable.
Yeah, there were a couple times where it's like this level. Can we swear? Are we allowed to swear on this podcast? We decide that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. This fucking level where it's like I am like ready to quit and just totally restart the whole thing on like easy because I was just like trying to get through it. But yeah, I'm proud of myself. Give myself a little pat on the back there. Charlie, you were gonna say where you're at?
I beat it solo on legendary, no skulls or anything, and it did.
Damn.
It did take me a few respawns for sure.
Yeah.
And then Will and I actually played together co-op on legendary.
That's cute.
Beat that, so that was cool. James, I'll call you out next.
Yeah, I played heroic solo, and I was kind of annoyed at myself for the few times I did die. Really quick, the main thing that killed me was when you fight the one elite with the energy sword and he kind of charges you. That was pissing me off a bit.
Yeah, that one took me a few minutes too.
What'd you play on, Rob?
I did heroic as well. I was just going.
Yeah.
I didn't want too much of a challenge, to be honest. I just kind of wanted to just take the story in.
And I did legendary with Charlie. It was actually a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. But it's not that bad when you're doing it with co-op because, if your teammate's still alive, you just respawn,
Yeah.
out of combat.
Yeah.
So it's not that bad. But I was just replaying it right now on normal.
I will say real quick, because I played solo as well. Playing co-op is fun. It's cool to do it together, but when I'm playing it solo, I can definitely focus more on the story.
Yeah,
what's going
that's
on.
why I was just playing it again because, I couldn't focus that one time we were playing on legendary with all your blabbering.
Oh, okay.
Couldn't focus on the story.
I did have a few drinks that night, I think, so. Yeah. Profess my love of the Halo franchise.
Tommy boy, what did you play?
Yeah, Tom.
You know what? I did normal. Fuck you guys.
That's right. I mean, you're the only one here with a bunch.
Hey.
You got kids. You got kids. You got to get through this, dude. Like just
Yeah.
power through it. There's no shame
exactly.
in it. I feel you. That's where I was at. Where it's I'm an adult and it's like 10 o'clock at night and it's like I fucking work in the morning and I just need to make progress here and stop getting my head smashed in by this brute.
Add respect, Tom.
Yeah.
I appreciate you getting through it. So
Being real, we appreciate the vulnerability there too.
Good time. Mm-hmm.
Moving on then. So before we actually get into real discussions about the game, we're going to talk about a few trailers. First being Birth of a Spartan, where we get a quick glimpse at the body human augmentation process that the Spartans went through. Really cool to see kind of a live action interpretation of it. I know, like most people, I feel like the current live action interpretations of some of the Halo stuff is kind of weak with the TV show that came out, but seeing it kind of live action was pretty neat and really interesting cinematography there. Made it look pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I don't know if I liked it in terms of like the timeline and throwing in a Spartan 3 in there because we've had that discussion before too. And it's definitely not the same setup as like the Spartan 2 program. So like this individual who's more of an adult going in there and kind of just like willy-nilly going and getting augmented when I don't think it just was weird on the timeline for me.
But it did make it seem like it was like a non-invasive procedure. They just kind of jabbed him with a few needles and then he was up ready to grab him.
It was.
Any other thoughts on it, Will? What do we think?
I kind of agree with what James was saying, that when I was picturing like in the books all the Spartan augmentations, I wasn't really picturing how they pictured it here in the commercial. Him just like lying in an empty room and these robot hands just injecting him. I was thinking of something a lot more involved, a lot more medical professionals monitoring him and stuff like that.
Dr. Halsey monitoring.
Unless the tech could significantly advance, which again, I guess, does this trailer call out a timeline actually? Maybe that's part of my confusion. Again, we're talking Spartan 3s, and so clearly not at the time of Reach.
We know, was she involved in the Spartan 3 program, or was she just like done with it at that point?
They kept a secret from her.
Oh, okay. So then that makes
They
sense.
cut her out of it.
It's like if they cut her out of it, then they're just kind of like wanting to just churn these guys through the meat grinder and crank them out as fast as they can, so they can't have like Halsey live her like mother fantasy out again and take years and years.
Yeah. So maybe that is it. Like tech is so advanced now that
jab them and go.
The bugs and people aren't having seizures and basically dying left and right.
And they can do it while wide awake.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and just walk out.
That too. It's like going to get your vaccines.
Yeah, yeah, it a lot. Opens up a lot of questions, right? Like, how long does it take for them to adapt and grow and take on the new traits, right? Because it kind of shows him go through the process, get up, and then it cuts to him, going and throwing on some, Spartan armor, right? Which we already know, if you're not physically capable, would just crush your body. So, like,
Yeah.
interesting, but it's just a weird. I am happy they said it was part of the Spartan 3 program and kind of separated it from Spartan 2's, but like kind of weird that they lumped it into the Reach game and saga as a lot. Like, I feel like they could
There's
touch on a few more things, but
there's a reason for it. The character that you see in this commercial is a young Spartan Carter, which which is a character in Reach. So we're not just seeing any Spartan 3 here. This is a character from Reach, the game.
that we made as a child, or
As
do we not want to disclose kind of when he comes up?
no,
Hold on,
the
now
main
I'm really confused about the timeline.
it's the
Because
main
Reach,
sorry, it's the main character in this commercial. The dude that's
Oh,
getting
you're
augmented.
saying he's Noble 6?
No, he's
No.
Carter. He's the commander of Noble Team.
Yep.
Oh yeah, then then that throws back. I'm very confused
Well,
by timelines
it's
now.
not just
'Cause now
completely
we're saying,
random.
yeah,
He's the
but
guy in the
like,
blue armor
oh,
in Noble Team.
sure. So this means that this has to mean that Spartan 3 programs were happening like
Yes.
Before Reach.
for a
Yep.
long time before Reach. Then
no doesn't line up with the
On
timeline and Master Chief and all that.
so
So
in Noble Team, there's only one Spartan 2 on the Noble Team. It's George. He's the only one that's a Spartan 2. On the rest, everybody else is a Spartan 3.
so I
okay,
guess I never realized that, but like, why would they alter the timeline that way? Is it just to eliminate the fact that like Master Chief isn't part of it
So
initially?
we gotta like take a step back and think, okay.
Yeah.
At this point, at the fall of Reach, I'm pretty sure the Master Chief is like in his 40s or 50s, right?
Right.
That's at least like 30 years where they could kidnap another group of kids and train them up to be another group of Spartans.
Oh, totally. They could get two groups of kids because
Okay.
Chief was like 14 or 15 when they juiced him up, right?
Yeah.
okay.
So
Yeah.
you
Okay,
get
and
two
it's
crowds of kids.
secretive and it's kept from Halsey and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, remember in the book there was essentially a 27-year time jump between them blowing up that one Covenant ship, Sam losing his life, and then they like time jump 27 years. So like
Yeah.
there's shit happening in the universe, in between that time.
Yeah,
And
100%. But like the battles from the book and the references we were getting, we were still discovering different covenant species and like their hierarchy and like, oh, where do the Spartans go and how often are they showing up? Like, to then say, oh, hey, Fall of Reach, here's a whole nother group of Spartans that show up out of nowhere that we mix and mingle with also Spartan 2s. Like, it's weird.
It fucks up
I
the
don't know.
Spartan counter. Are
Yeah,
there
it
still
fucks
only
up our live
27
Spartan
counters?
counter.
Yeah.
And then it makes you wonder about like the generational divide between the two Spartans
That's pretty funny. You
programs.
got like Boomer Chief with Gen
Yeah,
Z Spartan
yeah.
3.
Like our Spartan
Well-
3s like all wearing like crew socks
Yeah.
that like hate on, and the Spartan 2s wearing their ankle socks.
Well, we all play the game, right? We all played the first few missions.
Yep.
There was one character on Noble Team that was clearly different than the other characters. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. That was a Spartan too, like Will was saying. he was actually a part of
He's a lot.
Chief.
He's a lot older. He's
Chief's
a
class.
lot
Yep.
Hold on,
taller.
his name was
crustier,
Jorge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jorge.
Wasn't that the
Jorge?
guy
Did I
who
say
got
George?
smacked out?
Yeah.
I thought it was George.
It is spelled with a J,
Okay.
though.
Yeah, but
Okay,
They say
well,
George in the book.
no, in
Wasn't
the
that the guy in the
movie.
movie
Or
that
in the
he
movie,
got
you're right.
smacked down by the trainer? He's
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
"Shut up, George," or whatever.
that's awesome.
Wow.
Okay, so
Oh, here we
That's a
go.
good pull.
Halopedia.
Here we
Hello,
go.
Halo.
Here it
Um,
comes.
God damn it.
The truth is being revealed. Spartan 3 program first started active combat in 2536. So, wait,
2536.
yeah,
That's less than 20
So,
years
like-
before Reach.
yeah, 10 years before after Spartan 2 started active combat. Something like that, right?
So the fall of Reach is 2552.
Yep. I'm trying to think like when Halo or Spartan 2, when did they go active, and then how much later did O&I wait to do a Spartan 3 program and make them active? But we'll skip over that. Maybe we can come back to that.
It's a little complicated because they go into all those details in the Ghost of Onyx,
Yeah.
which we still haven't gotten to.
Yeah. Yeah, we won't have to go into it, but really the idea of Spartan 3 was to make for cheaper, easier to train, and easier to produce Spartans than the Spartan 2 program, which relied on, advanced technology equipment to be successful. Spartan 3s relied more on teamwork and numbers. And so, like, some of the groups or companies in the Spartan 3 program, we're talking hundreds of Spartans, like 300 per company. And they had 6 different companies in that program. So significantly more Spartans in that program. So I think that's why also the augmentation looked less severe, is because they're really not getting augmented to the extreme or in the same manner as the Spartan 2 program.
That always happens when the original owner of like a company gets fired, right? And then the corporate management takes over. Quality always goes down. They cut corners, use inferior kidnapped children.
Quantity.
Yeah, it's quantity over quality. Use the cheaper kidnapped children and the cheaper body augmentations. Increase profits. Any other final thoughts on that little clip? Cool.
Move on.
All right. So, second clip we watched was Patrol. We open on a group of Marines on the surface of Reach on patrol. They talk about Noble Team and a battle they heard from the morning before between Noble Group and some insurrectionists. They are interrupted by an incoming call from command and are to be sent to Visgard to investigate a disturbance at the communication relay hub. They comment it's likely insurrectionists. As they move out, they argue it's ridiculous that they have to be fighting both the Covenant and humans as well. We cut to the sun setting on the planet, the text saying, "Remember Reach." So another neat one. That's something that doesn't really factor into any of the media about Reach we've seen so far, right? Is that there were potentially, other conflicts on Reach that were going on before the Covenant showed up there.
Yeah,
imagine it's pretty messy.
Most of the other media definitely makes it seem like, oh, Covenant happened, and then humans are at peace fighting a common enemy.
Yeah, right. They kind of
potentially still ongoing conflicts. Yep.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting that they just kind of drop the whole Civil War angle after Chief. They just kind of use it as a way for Chief to kind of get a little bit of experience, and then that's all you hear about it.
So some other things that popped in my mind, and maybe it's not, I don't know how realistic this is, but I'm surprised that if there's a battle happening above Reach, a space battle, and dropships entering the atmosphere, that folks aren't just realizing the Covenant are landing on them. I know times are disrupted, so potentially they're far enough away, and that's why
they are. So I've got a note here. I don't remember seeing this in the video, but I've got a note here that says the video itself the scene was supposed to have taken place a month before the Covenant got to Reach.
Oh, got it.
So I don't think it's
Well,
the timeline there. So James, I know you're looking for holes in this timeline. You're
no,
fighting
I am
really hard
looking
to
for
put
holes, right?
look for holes in the Swiss cheese.
Because mission 1 of the game, you're also supposed to, you're under the assumption that insurrectionists are also the cause of the con mishap. So, what the hell?
They just went for like a month-long joyride.
Yeah, literally. No, it's okay.
It's
But
fine.
It
continue.
kind of doesn't make sense that there's insurrections on the planet of Reach, which is like basically an entire like
Military.
military planet.
Yeah, right. It's right in their
know?
backyard.
It is like, where humans are basically like where the Oni and everything. I mean, that's their headquarters for everything, and it's just like you got insurrections running around on this planet. That kind of doesn't add up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with you, Will.
It's clearly not just that, because as we'll see, I mean, we're kind of keep jumping forward into the game right now, but we see that like there's just farms there, there's farmers and stuff, you know. So it's not just completely just a big giant industrial military complex. There is, you know, humans and other people on the planet. So as James pointed out, and as Will, I think, warned us way long ago, that this game, you know, it the timelines don't mix perfectly. There's a lot of a lot of red tape in between the lines.
Sure, but I mean, the live actions were based on and were released with the game. So, like, make things line up in that manner. Like, I guess I'm just calling out the difference between um, the live action short and mission 1 of the game, right?
This one specifically, we meet this patrol unit, which is also the same patrol unit we're going to see in the second mission of the game.
Oh, they don't get smoked.
Well,
That's cool.
don't ruin it.
Well, we're going to talk about that in a second.
Okay, James keeps asking questions like, "What's going on here?" I'm like, this isn't just completely random. The commercials.
No, sorry. Yeah, and when I kept saying first mission, I'm talking, I guess, second mission, the one you actually play.
I gotta say, like, I'm not sure. It is interesting to look at, and these Marines are just chit chat and stuff. But to be totally honest, I'm not sure this is like the best way to like market your like upcoming game. Like, I feel
seeing
Yeah.
this on the TV, like in between quarters of the football game, it wouldn't make me want to go buy this game, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if this one per se got televised. I don't know. But obviously, one of the ones we're going to watch is definitely a cinematic masterpiece.
this has been on the Xbox YouTube channel for 14 years, and it's got 36,000 views. That's nothing. Nobody's
Jeez.
watching this.
Dude, look at how many likes are on some of these videos. We're talking less than 100 at most. Also, what really, really irks me is I found a higher quality when we get to the last video. 360p on Xbox exclusive like channel versus no, but I found 720p re-uploads and I'm like I was like, wait, I can't upgrade the quality of this video.
I did
Come
try
on,
to find a
Xbox.
better link, and I tried to change the link. I don't know if you watched it before that or not, but I agree. I was like, this is so awesome,
I
but it's
know.
in 360p.
My phone can render better shit than that. But anyways.
Anyway, we can move on.
Moving on. Rob, Tom, any thoughts on this one, or you ready to jump to the next guy?
No, we're good.
Nope. Ready
Cool.
to keep moving.
So onwards and upwards. So moving on from one that was maybe not the best representation of what the Reach game would be, I would say Spaceport, our next one, kind of tugs at the heartstrings a little bit. So meanwhile, elsewhere on planet Reach at the spaceport in the city of Manassas, A family nears the departure gate. The young son pleads with his mother not to go, and the mother responds that the company needs her to go. She'll be back in 3 days and promises if he's good, she'll bring back a present. However, the farewell with her husband appears more disquieting than a quick trip suggests. Great word there, Charlie. $2 word. As she leaves, this departure board starts announcing multiple flight cancellations. Again, the sun sets below the planet. We see the text, remember reach. So yeah, definitely one with a lot more emotion, a little more intriguing, kind of what gets you to really question what might this game be about. And also just adds a little more emotion to the actual events of the game.
Yeah. I'll put
Still
some...
not a great commercial for like television, but
Nah. Definitely doesn't
adding,
excite you.
it's adding a little bit of context to the story that we'll see.
Yeah.
This one specifically, though, I don't think added much context at all. Does somebody want to explain to me what this all meant?
It's certainly not there's like not context for the game, but I think it's just more like, now that I played the game, showing that there's like people that have lives that are living on this planet.
Yeah.
It's not just a military outpost. It's like a fully populated planet. With
that's
other
what I
stuff
got
going on
from this, along with the next video as well, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, there are real people living their real lives, having real life problems still. That is more of what I think it is, instead of just basically because Reach is such a different setting than the other 3 Halo games.
Yeah, I think one thing that I was disappointed about was their clothes were not very spacey. She just looked like she was wearing like JCPenney normal ass clothes, and I was hoping for some more Jetsons type clothing.
I would also add a little turnstile subway entrance instead of
yeah, right. There's a
with like no
in the
security,
game you go through,
no nothing.
I think you go through turnstiles in the game, and they're like more space age looking.
Yeah, but I'm talking like she's basically boarding a flight, and we have stricter protocols now for flying.
She's boarding a spaceport.
And if there's insurrection, issues happening or potential threats, like where's security? You can't just walk.
There's a Halo TSA.
Exactly, that's what I'm getting at.
Maybe it just scans you as soon as you touch the turnstile.
It could be. Sir, put your plasma pistol in the tray.
Yes.
All frag grenades and shotguns must be left outside the gate.
Please take your laptops and tablets out of your backpack.
Yeah, right. Any further thoughts on Spaceport, or should we move on to the next guy?
Let's keep it rolling.
Keep it rolling. Okay, so our second to last, I should say, bumper commercial is called New Life. A young couple is arguing about moving away, leaving Visegrad for Manassas. He argues that Visegrad is dying, and that there's nothing there anymore, and their friends have already left. She responds that her family have been there for generations, and she can't just leave. He says that staying here would lead no future. They are then interrupted by sirens outside and the sounds of emergency vehicles flying by. As far as we know, Visegrad, let's keep saying that, Visegrad houses a comm relay, but there appears to be farms which are not sustaining. So yeah, another little piece that adds to the human element there. Which I think they're talking about the insurrectionists, right? That would be the issue at that point, because like, why would you be, I don't know, if there's an alien invasion on your planet, I feel like the conversation would not be this tame.
Right. No one knows that there's Covenant on the way, but in context to the game, and again, the second mission we played, Winter Contingency, they visit they're charged with getting the Visegrad comm relay back online. So that's they're living there next to that relay, and
which gets like totally smoked by the Covenant.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the effect of that on people living there when we talk about the level. But yeah, I thought this was way cooler than the Spaceport one because it's just more context to that scene we see in the game essentially. So
I like the furniture.
The nice
just
IKEA
add that.
furniture. That was a little more futuristic-y looking. The Halo-looking apartment, everything made out of concrete.
They definitely look like poor future people.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not living large. They're like average reach citizen, I guess.
Yeah, looks like times are a little tough.
Cool. Any final thoughts on that one?
No, just tells
Nope.
me that the future always holds the same problems.
That's right.
Oh
And
God.
realization.
Haves and the have-nots.
Yep.
Nothing changes. 500 years into the future, nothing changes. Military-industrial complex keeps on chugging, right?
You guys sound like a bunch of insurrectionists.
That's right. We might be.
All right.
I read Space Karl Marx's book. All right, so our final. Interactionist.
God damn it.
Jim should probably host some more.
What's that?
You should probably host more often.
I'm happy to host. I suck at the game, so I'm gonna be. This is
might as well.
kind of coincidence. I don't understand how it's taken me this long to be the host, but because I'm so bad at the multiplayer. But I'll be back, ladies and gentlemen. Don't you worry. All right, so our final commercial bumper.
TV spot worthy.
TV spot worthy one. Yeah, this one's a little more epic. What we're talking about. This is the big dumb, shooty, explodey, cool, big spaceships blowing up stuff that we love here. So this one's called Deliver Hope. In a dramatic, action-packed scene, we see Spartan Cat S320 running through a firefight. She arms a bomb and makes her way through the firefight. Through the fighting Marines and Covenant. An explosion knocks her over. She drops the bomb. Another Spartan comes up. Seeing that she is wounded, grabs the bomb himself and flies up to the Covenant battle cruiser. Inside, he comes upon the hangar bay with swarms of Covenant soldiers and vehicles, and as the bomb ticks down, he throws it in. The ship explodes and the camera pans back to reveal various other battles taking place across the planet. The text appears, "Remember Reach." So yeah, this is the good stuff, the juicy stuff. Enough of these sappy stories where the kid misses his mommy, or these poor people are arguing in their crappy apartment.
The music alone, as he threw the bomb in and it panned up, essentially slowly revealing the planet. The music alone at that part was just like amazing. And even in 2-minute commercial, I was feeling some feelies for sure.
I legitimately remember back in like 2011, like downloading this song from like LimeWire and putting it on my like iPod Nano, like 3rd gen.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's a really awesome.
I will say the exit splash screen of Xbox 360 really brings me back.
Yeah, that was nostalgic right there.
Yeah, I think that's something I'm excited to have more of. Is like the music in the Halo games is always all really good. Like just the intro music in CE is like ingrained in every guy's head.
Marty O'Donnell, he ran for Congress like 3 months ago. Yeah,
seriously.
Yeah, he dropped out.
Yeah.
But I think he ran in ran as a Republican in some like congressional district.
Is that on Halopedia?
Who's this guy?
He's one of the main composers of the Halo music. Him and I think his name's Michael Salvatore, which he just got fired from Bungie also like 3 months ago.
No.
So they're taking some L's, the both of them. But yeah, the music's awesome.
We are subtly introduced to all of the members of Noble Team in this commercial.
Are they all in the? They're all in the shot.
Yes. And interesting. There's 2 little things that I found in my research on this. Cool little tidbits. Kat, she was the one running with the bomb in the beginning of the commercial.
Mm-hmm.
She's injured, and in the game, you notice that she has a robotic arm. So it's highly thought, or
We lost Charlie.
it's. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're good.
Yeah.
All right, so we see Kat running in the beginning of the commercial. She's blown to the side, right? Well, in the game, she has a robotic arm. We're gonna meet her in the game. So people think that explosion caused her her arm
Nope.
to,
What?
Nope. Timeline
Yep.
plot.
It has to
Plot.
be a
Plot
time
fail.
loop.
Yep.
and I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. So
Okay.
Okay.
Time travel.
also the soldier that then grabs the bomb and flies up. It's a what's the word? It's thought that he dies. It's implied. Sorry, that's the word. It's implied that he dies doing this. He sacrifices himself to blow the ship up. Well, open to Halo Reach. What team needs one person that receives one person?
Noble team. Noble team.
Why does it imply this guy dies? He literally runs off. Like.
Hold on. So
Yeah,
so Reach
he
gets
dies.
Okay.
Yeah, he's dead.
Reach gets invaded. The entire planet gets invaded. They blow up some ships and shit, and then it just goes back to like
A good
normal
old Tuesday
with, like,
waiting
the
for.
initial.
Was that Reach?
Yeah.
So if you think that they're on Reach during this battle, which I get it, you think that they're fighting on Reach, then that timeline doesn't make sense. But doing research, this doesn't take place on Reach. It takes place during a different battle.
Okay.
I thought I had it written down here.
think,
They're fighting on the planet Fumarole or something like that. So, yeah,
Okay.
these events are happening before the Noble team we see in the game. But
Are you sure
Yeah.
about that, Charlie?
I did some research.
That is what the internet is saying, and I will say, when it pulls out, and is you can kind of see the lakes and stuff of this planet in Deliver Hope. It doesn't line up or resemble if you pull up a map of Reach, so that could very well be true.
Okay, so explain this to me, James. You know, the shot ends with them zooming out of the planet and they're fighting on the planet, and then it says "Remember Reach." How does that make sense? Why does it say "Remember Reach"? They're showing the planet, it's getting blown up, and it says with letters right there, "Remember Reach." It's not saying "Remember Rizzaral" or whatever, Charlie just said.
Fumarole.
Fumarole. It doesn't say "Remember Fumarole."
Never forget
Because
Fumarole.
Noble Team is all about Reach.
Remember the fumarole.
All ephemeral.
Or I guess you do forget Fumarole.
That's right. Do you guys remember Occam's razor? Occam's razor, where like the easiest explanation is likely the correct one?
Yeah.
And I think it's that they made the decision to give Kat the robo arm after they made that commercial.
And they're like, oh shit, we got to figure this out.
Yeah, right. Oh, damn it. Yeah.
No, I genuinely think it was well planned to show, yes, Kat getting injured, the other members of the team. You see George shooting his machine gun in the background, and there's other Spartans. The guy that
with the sniper.
June.
Yeah.
You don't really see his face, but you see his sniper. Anyway, and then most importantly, the team loses a team member, which is the in for Noble 6 in the game. So, yeah, I definitely think it was planned that way.
I think this short's awesome. I love the production value. The Banshees flying around, the elites. It's awesome.
That is the directing style and visual style I want my Halo movie to be.
Is the Halo show like that short?
I mean, it's not far off, but that was awesome the way that was directed.
Yeah, really cool.
Yep.
So, yeah. So we're gonna pivot now to talking about level 1 of the actual game. The game opens up with a cinematic shot in orbit around the planet of Reach. We slowly move in through the atmosphere. It's clear that the surface of the planet is destroyed, charred, and on fire. Our final shot is a close-up of a Spartan helmet laying damaged in the dirt and debris, covered in debris from the planet's surface. We fade to white and see the title Reach. Very ominous opening to begin with, right? Kind of the first thing we hear about these Spartans is that they're invincible, so very ominous to see a empty, dead Spartan helmet, presumably dead.
The artwork's really beautiful.
It
The
is.
one cool thing I will throw in there, and I'm not sure if this is due to the Master Chief Collection being on PC, but I was like, oh, that's a weird Spartan helmet, and then it like loaded in my character, and it's a helmet I chose as my multiplayer helmet. So,
Oh, nice.
my armor, really quick for listeners, like I wear pink armor because I find it's funny, and then it's like a Spartan, like a 300 Spartan, like Greek warrior, with the mohawk thing going on and everything. So I thought that made me pause for a second, only realized that the game was updated to allow for something like that. But I do enjoy the intro, and I thought that was really cool.
I think actually, are we all playing on PC, the Master Chief Collection?
I'm playing on Xbox.
Okay.
Same.
So then you guys
They
would
probably
have
have
the
the
same
same thing
updates,
as
yeah.
well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after that ominous opening scene, we then shift to a first-person perspective, where a Spartan dons their helmet as they transverse the surface of the planet Reach in a warthog. At this point, the planet's surface is still alive and well. The date reads July 24th, 2552. Just on that point, really cool that the game tracks the timeline for you and kind of helps put in. It's really fun to match that up now with all the other Reach material that we've gone through. Falcons follow the Warthogs as they approach a military base, and upon arriving, off steps the Spartan as we hear a voiceover of Colonel Holland, stating that contact with the Visigoid relay was lost overnight. As the soldier walks past, we see another Spartan, June, observing the newcomer. The colonel is talking to Commander Carter, and we find out that the fire teams have been sent to investigate. And we find out that the fire teams have been sent to investigate, but have since gone MIA. Colonel Holland, despite Oni's opinion, requests the Spartan team to investigate further. The newcomer arrives and is confronted by two others, Kat and Jorge. We then learn the new soldier is a replacement filling in for their former Noble Number 6. Emil comments on the rifle of Noble Number 6. Emil's the guy with the cool skull on his helmet. Badass Punisher dude. It appears that 6's past is one of intrigue. Much of it was restricted. Meanwhile, Carter turns back to the mission when he believes that the loss of the Visigoid relay may be the result of insurrectionists. As a similar asset has been targeted before, Holland orders Noble Team to get the relay operational. Carter then turns to the new Noble 6. He introduces him to the team and states that he is stepping into the position that the rest of the team would rather leave unfilled. As they make their way to the Falcons, Carter states that he is glad to have Noble Team back at full strength, but he is aware of Noble Team 6's past. And demands that we work as a team and that the Lone Wolf stuff stays behind. Falcons take off and lead toward the mountains. We then fade to black.
Oh, there's so much that I love about this opening. Beautiful artwork of the planets at the beginning. The helmet with, the broken visor, like a bullet went through it on the ground. And then the very first shot of from first person view is Noble 6 looking at the exact same helmet. So it's like foreshadowing, like, oh shit, what's going to happen. The music, when they do the title screen and those drums start kicking, it's just so good.
Beats, dude. Halo beats.
The whole opening scene definitely felt like a Black Ops, like it's something you'd see in a movie, or it felt kind of like modern, like Call of Duty games. You know what I'm saying? The whole shots were really well done, I think.
It is a good looking game.
Something that this game constantly reminds me of is like Vietnam war movies. Like, it just gives me that vibe.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
With like the helicopters floating in and
Yeah,
people
right.
jumping
That's
off and
Yeah.
Fortunate Son moments.
machine guns. All we need is some Fortunate Son and
Yeah. So yeah, very cool opening. So Noble Team then moves on to Visegard, a remote agricultural region of Reach. The Paro Falcons fly through the mountain landscape as Commander Carter debriefs the team. They will be inspecting the downed relay outpost, figure out who took it out, and Spartan Cat will be getting it back online. George asks the question why rebels would want to cut off Reach from other colonies. As they approach the drop zone, Cat announces that they've lost signal with HQ. Unsure what is jamming their comms. Wouldn't the just fucked up relay post be the problem? But instead, they locate a signal from a distress beacon and they investigate. The team deploys June, Jorge, cover from the Falcons above. They locate the beacon, but not the missing soldiers. With the surrounding damage, Cat questions why they don't see explosive residue, and Neil comments that they may be seeing plasma damage. Intriguing. Potential signs of the Covenant. They move on and soon come to another damaged homestead. Inside, they find farmer refugees, and George speaks to them. The farmer states that they heard screams and gunfire through the night, that something killed his son. Suddenly, June announces that he reads heat signatures in the area, and Noble investigates. Inside of a building, they come upon the mutilated remains of some civilians as well as the corpses of 2 soldiers. It appears that they were interrogated and tortured before their deaths. Again, they are interrupted. Movement on their motion trackers. They come to the windows and see the enemy for the first time. Covenant grunts and jackals. They fight their way through the Covenant ground forces. Carter announces they need to get through to command to warn the colonel. After they clear the valley, Noble Team splits up. Jorge and Carter join 6 on the ground, and they drive their way to their next objective, clearing Covenant remnants along the way. So, finally bumping into the Covenant. A month before the action starts, I think we said in the Marine bumper trailer thing, right? Was that same day, June 24th.
I think it was a day earlier, right?
Or maybe the day before. Yeah, the night before, maybe. Either way, but within that timeline. So a month before shit really pops off on Reach. I would have thought it kind of makes sense, I guess, if the Covenant were planning to invade the planet. It seems like they're smart enough to maybe send ahead like a special ops team, start, fucking stuff up for their enemy, get rid of their, communication stuff, knock out their scopes and sensors and stuff so they can't see them coming, and then bring their ships in and start blasting.
Well, I mean, yeah, that is true. I just find it interesting that these details don't get leaked to ONI and Master Chief and those folks for like a whole month.
Well, I mean, maybe they do get leaked. They get, Oni gets notified, but maybe Keys and Master Chief aren't in the know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they
That's
did
fair.
kind of hate
They're not.
the Spartan program, so I guess that kind of makes sense in that aspect to not communicate to them.
Yeah, it's just like because everyone is shocked that Covenant ends up finding Reach and invades Reach, right? Because they weren't ever messing with the inner colonies until now, to where I would feel like there should have been heightened defenses and like people freaking out that the Covenant is there already especially like doing non-Covenant things, like just glassing the planet and doing tactical stuff. I don't know. Like, we're building up a story and I get that, and like all for it. It just is a little weird.
Yeah,
I'm with you, James. Like, there's a lot that just doesn't add up when you're comparing it to like the book and that timeline and the timeline with the game. Because like in the book, they don't find Keys doesn't find out until like August 30th
Yeah.
that the Covenant have found Reach.
Yeah, and if it's like over a month beforehand, and they're kind of invading farmlands and interrogating people, and you
kind of have to imagine that this kind of leaks out and everybody on Reach eventually knows about it, right? So yeah, I'm with you, John.
Yeah.
It's I'm looking at it right now. It's chapter 32 in the book, and if you guys remember, they're about to go on that mission to go. I mean, the crazy mission where they're going to go kidnap one of the prophets and bring them
Yeah.
back, and they're about to go do that mission, and then the ship starts turning around. John feels the ship turning around. He's like, "Okay, what the hell's going on? Why are we turning around?" And Keyes comes down and tells all of them like, "Shit, the Covenant have found Reach. We got to turn around and help defend it." So a lot of it doesn't add up.
Oh, what's the timestamp on that one?
It is 519 hours, August 30th,
Oh, yeah.
2552.
later.
So a month later. Because I was wondering, like, I wondered how far. Because did they just leave Reach? I guess it did. We can put a pin in this. I'm just wondering, like, were they far out in space and so turning around was going to take them a long time and whatever. But
That could be it
Yeah.
too. It's like they're going pretty far, and if they're not going into slip space or whatever it is, then maybe it's a longer journey for them to haul it back.
yeah, it's just interesting. The one
It
thing I'll
says
bring
here.
up.
Oh,
Go ahead.
go ahead. Okay, I'll just say that it was saying like I'm reading it now, and it's like Cortana has picked up ship signatures on the Pillar of Autumn sensors. Captain Keyes says, she's like she cannot tell how many of them there are because of electrical interference, but there are hundreds of alien ships inbound towards Reach. We have to go. We have our orders. The Section 3 mission has to be scrubbed.
Yeah,
So they're in system.
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, we can only assume Oni
Yeah.
buried the info, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucks. Thanks a lot, Oni. Kind of caused Reach to fall.
Speaking of
Foreshadowing.
Oni,
Yeah.
something that I find interesting is like Noble Six. We aren't really told a lot about him, but we can like pick up some hints from Kat saying like I was able to read his files, but only the parts that aren't blacked out. And then later on, Carter says to
Yep.
him like, I'm glad to have somebody with your special skill sets on the crew, but that lone wolf stuff's like not gonna work on our crew. And it makes you think like, okay, it tells us that Noble Six is kind of like he worked alone. He was probably doing some super fucking shady shit. If Cat couldn't like, if his files are all like blacked out, some interesting character building.
Which is
paying attention.
Weird for a Spartan 3 again to kind of do that because from what I was reading, Spartan 3s aren't like a Spartan. They're not built like a Master Chief or a Spartan 2, right? So like for them to kind of go and do lone wolf stuff is a little interesting. It also, I wonder if, to me, that could confuse someone who comes into Halo Reach not knowing lore, thinking Noble Six is Master Chief, right? There's not many references to it, but like again, Master Chief's kind of, I guess, not really lone wolfy, but in the games he definitely is. I don't know, but yeah, the fact that Oni hides a lot of stuff, I guess, is what you're.
They do. The internal espionage within the human military seems really counterproductive, especially when we're fighting aliens.
Doesn't stop.
Yeah.
One thing I'll call out really quick is in at least in heroic, I assume they show up in every difficulty. In mission 2, you also get references and introductions to elite versions of all of the different Covenant enemies, right? So you have some grunts that are in white armor, denoting they're part of their special ops division, along with some actual elites in different armor, etc. when you fight them, they're obviously harder to kill.
True that.
But having those here at Reach also in the timeline, is calling out that they're sending out special ops forces to kind of strategically and guarantee their own success on this mission.
Yeah, that goes back to what Jim was saying, where I think they're like the pathfinders for this entire operation. They're supposed to be secret. They're
the early ground team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but a month ahead of time, yeah.
I know that's a long time. I feel like,
but I guess you figure like if like you maybe change the like perspective of the battle, like if you into like human perspectives of like if somebody were to attack Earth right now, like somewhere on Earth, another nation were to go and do something like this, like worldwide, I think it would take some time for everybody to be aware of what was going on, because it seems like this is, even though it's like really futuristic and news would be pretty fast, but just in terms of what would really happen and how long it takes for people to like for that news to kind of travel around, and then if it's like, oh my gosh, it's aliens, what the fuck, then I think it would take them a minute to really figure out what's going on, or at least for like a global reaction to take place. All right, so moving on in the level, we've now just bumped into the Covenant for the first time. Over the comms, June announces that they are receiving a distress call and patches in the audio of Corporal Travis. Charlie 6 team is under attack by Covenant forces, and Noble team will come to rescue. They locate the Marines and fight off the Covenant to establish an LZ landing zone. The Marines and Spartans load back into the Falcons, this time on the way to the comm relay. Blast some Covenant. They arrive and clear the relay courtyard for landing. Cat goes to work to unlock the shield doors while Noble is forced to hold off the attacking Covenant. They hold off drop shifts of grunts, jackals, and elites. As the battle becomes intense, Cat finally gets the door open and the team escapes into the building. Inside, they come upon a wounded Marine and the lifeless body of a scientist. Six finds a data pad from the corpse. Cat confiscates it while Jorge finds an unknown guest. He pulls out a young girl and she tries to break free. Just as Jorge is about to release her, an elite commander and pair of elite zealots crash down from the ceiling and engage the Spartans. In the fighting, Six is knocked over and barely able to prevent the creature from stabbing him with the energy sword. Amid holding off the creatures, the elites grab the civilian girl and Marine as hostage and escape deeper into the station. George and Six pursue. After fighting off special ops grunts and jackals, they come upon the pair of elite zealots and destroy them. Cut back to Kat, and she works to reestablish comms with HQ. She states that getting the station back online would take weeks, but she can rig some way to get them back online with Colonel Holland. Jorge speaks to the girl. Sorry, I read that too fast. Let me try that again. She states that getting the station back online would take weeks, but she can rig a way to get them back online. Back to Colonel Holland, Jorge speaks to the girl and finds that her father was the scientist that was killed. Jorge suggests a psychiatric evaluation to Carter, and he agrees that she will be evacuated. There appears to be a rift between Jorge and Emil, who states that Jorge should also be evaluated. Kat patches in with Command, and Carter speaks with Holland. He reveals that the Covenant are indeed on Planet Reach and that they are now enacting the Winter Contingency. Oh boy, we know what that means. Holland replies, "May God help us all."
Dude, this also, like, reading more into Winter Contingency and just it being their code name for, oh shit, like the Covenant discovered a UEG colony. Like, what the hell? Wait, like, why is this still a month away? Yeah, it was a fun mission overall, I think. I really liked while trying to find the Marines, you're kind of not really truly guided towards where they are. Like, there's little outposts where you can, if you wanted, you can stop and kind of fight little groups of Covenant, and kind of investigate those at your own will. So I kind of liked, at least in Halo Reach, the idea of yes, there's a linear path that you have to go down, but there's a little bit of freedom to kind of do what you want.
It would have been cooler if there was like additions. Like they just did the one part where Emil or whoever notices that there's plasma damage, and that's kind of interesting. It would have been
Yeah,
cooler if there was like a little bit more hints towards Covenant as we're going along, even though the player obviously knows that it's going to be the Covenant.
Yeah, you kind of know that
yeah.
immediately because at that point the
Where's the
humans don't
dead
have any
animals?
plasma tech.
I mean, they have some, but like it's not in human, like it's not in the civilian hand. So yes, it would not be.
I really like it, the feel of the game. I think like Bungie's like are masters at just like control and how it feels to move around and shooting and jumping around. I think this game, like I mean, all Halo games, it just feels really good to play.
Yeah, and like the battles, like I don't know, they're really cool. And so when Cat is trying to close the blast doors, when you're actually at the relay, like that little intense battle, um, like ends in a really cool, unique way, right? Where like you're thankful that she was able to get the blast doors closed and kind of prevent, you know, the Covenant from completely taking over because you knew they were just gonna keep coming and coming. So like just that whole feeling of how that flow works, I think is what yeah.
What did you guys think about like the health bars? Because they had the health bars in the first Halo, and then they took them away for Halo 2, Halo 3, and then they brought it back again where you recharge your shields, but you know, if your shields are gone, you're gonna take actual health damage. You have to find a health pack. Do you guys like prefer the Halo 2, Halo 3 way where it's just like your shield? Or do you like, having an actual health bar?
My heart says I like the health bar and shield just because it's like what they did in CE, and it just kind of I like having that like sense of like kind of higher risk, I guess, or like more weight on like when you do die because it's like how much health you have left versus in like 2, 3, and the rest of them where that just kind of recharges again.
Yeah,
But it
well your
definitely makes
shield
it more frustrating at some point. Like that's like in terms of like how fun it is to actually play, it does get annoying if you get to a checkpoint and then die immediately when you have low health, and then you're just stuck in this fucking loop and you get stuck sometimes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Those sort of games always take me out of the immersion when
Yeah.
I gotta go find a health pack that's conveniently on the wall of this dude's
Yep.
farmhouse.
Yeah,
Like, thanks,
sure.
farmhouse guy.
Yeah. Thanks
You
for
have the
having your
exact health
Being
med
a
pack I
kit
good
set
need.
being
up.
a good reach
Like,
citizen and having your mandated health 6 health packs all over your
right.
house.
Yeah,
I
I
would rather just have rechargeable shields.
I agree. It takes you out of immersion. Like I think it's from a video game standpoint, the health pack in a multiplayer setting makes more sense.
Yeah.
In a campaign setting and the immersion setting, it doesn't. And I think Halo Reach, and as we've seen with later Halos, like multiplayer is more of a thing, and so like they're designing for that use case and just moving it over with the actual campaigns. But yeah, I am a fan of no health pack. Let my shield do what the shield is supposed to do, and if that runs out, then I'm dead, like it should be.
Another big change. I mean, this is like a huge change for the Halo franchise. This is the first Halo game where they added a sprint. And, this was right around the
Well,
time when Call of Duty really started to take over, the first person shooter genre. So, I mean, this is one of the changes that Bungie kind of put in to, change it up a little bit. They added the sprint button. wondering if you guys have any feelings about that.
Well, I will
Yep.
say it's not just a sprint button in Halo Reach, but that's what they give you from in
Yep.
level 2. It's interesting. It's different. I don't necessarily know if I like it. Like playing Infinite is also the same kind of a game where you just have more variety of these like enhancements and equipment going on to cause more chaos and kind of create more unique gameplay. So there's some fun aspect to it, but definitely like for Halo fans, I think it definitely isn't the same as like CE 2 and 3. But I guess I do wish I had, now that I think about it, I do wish like I had a sprint button in the other Halos.
Any other thoughts on those first 2 levels?
I wanted to ask what you guys thought about this random little rift between George and Emil. You know,
Spicy.
yeah, they kind of threw that at the end there. Real unsubtle about that whole thing.
George is a Spartan 2, and he's older
Yeah.
and wiser.
It's like Desperate
He
Housewives
also
of Manassas.
he seems like he also has like more compassion and is more understanding. When like they're talking to those farmers that are like holed up in their house,
Oh yeah, true.
the dude's like, "These guys are fucking insurrectionists. Let's pop them." And George or Jorge, he's like, "No, dude, they're farmers. Let's talk to them. Try to see what's going on."
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if it's just how they were trained as military people, right? Like Spartan 2s were trained under Halsey and obviously as children, but like I think had good quote unquote principles in place on them. Or at least they thought about things in more of a compassionate way versus these hothead level or Spartan 3s kind of just in there, kind of like as souped up Marines and then just gun ho.
Yeah, President
What
Mama
did
Halsey.
Jorge do to get put in a position where he's getting
That's a
bossed
great
around
question.
by a Spartan
Yeah, some
3?
little shit.
That's a good question. Yeah, why are they teaming this Spartan 2 with a group of Spartan 3s?
And he's
Yeah,
not
why
the
is he
leader of
not?
the
Yeah.
group.
Yeah, at this point, do we know how many Spartan 2s are even left?
Oh man. What, 27?
There's still 20-something Spartan 2s?
I think 27, right?
Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
So enough for like at least a couple of
Yeah,
units.
what's he
Okay.
doing? See, like,
Yeah.
What did he do?
What did Jorge do?
how did John not know that Jorge was reassigned to another Spartan or has been on a different Spartan 3 program?
Yeah, I guess you wonder what he would be privy to when it comes to like larger moves, like squad movements. Because you're right, he's the Master Chief, so he should be like responsible for all of their operations, right?
What Oni say, Oni get. So
Only do,
Oni,
okay.
yeah, Oni wanted George on Noble team.
Yeah, I think overall the build up and how this game like eases you into everything is good. I kind of agree with Arno if it was Jim or James that was saying that they kind of wish there was some more build up. I also kind of wish there was just more build up of like, okay, what's going on? I mean, we know it's the Covenant, but still just like building up on like the mystery of like, okay, what happened to this relay? I do wish they build up on that a little bit more, but it does make sense that they do want the player to, get to the action. They don't want to be holding that off for too long. And, people get bored pretty easily.
So, Yeah. Looking into it a little bit, it seems like at least people speculate and kind of what they've pulled from um George/Jorge was probably put on Noble Team as like a supervisor role, just because Spartan 3s were just kind of like, still being developed on, and basically having a Spartan 2 assess, like, can the Spartan 3 team operate, how do they operate as a team? How do they operate in terms of like a Spartan 2 group, etc. So it seems like George was probably poached from ONI to be put on this team and kind of stuck around, even though he's not quote unquote the leader of it. And then there's also a reference to Kurt, which I don't remember who that is, but this Kurt individual, which I guess I'll look up, or if anyone knows, feel free to call out who they were, was poached to kind of help build and train the Spartan 3s from ONI. So sounds like that's kind of why George is there.
Good synopsis. Any other thoughts, Ed? Any other thoughts on that?
I really like the character designs. The designs of everything, basically, like the elites, their armor, the different like headdresses that the elites got, just like how everything is designed.
It is cool. It's like a really gritty looking game too, which is cool and kind of goes along with the like Call of Duty thing that they were kind of trying to keep up with at the time, because Call of Duty was kind of going gritty with it at that point.
Yeah, and like the Spartans, some of the things give you like subtle hints about them. Like Emil has that big knife that he's always playing with, and he rocks like a shotgun, so he likes close quarter combat. And June has like this scarf, like a random like scarf around him, and he's like the sniper. Just little things like that. And Kat, she has a robot arm, but she's also like the communications and like the tech officer, and she's the one that's like hacking the doors and stuff like that.
Yeah, they do a good job at kind of building the characters up.
Yeah, just like communicating to you like some subtle information about these characters.
Robbie, Tomo, any final thoughts on the first two levels of Halo Reach, or overall thoughts?
Had a good time. Looking forward to the next ones.
Love it. All right, cool. So that wraps up our discussion of the little teasers for Reach in the first two levels. Excited to kind of get a little deeper into this story and understand what play through all that stuff we've been reading about for weeks and weeks. So moving on now, that brings us to our tournament time. With our discussion over, we need to pick a battle for this evening. Results of last week's match. Here are the current standings. Will still at the top with 27. Robbie P2 with 22 points. James with 20. Tom also tied with 20. Charlie with 18. And myself lagging a little bit with 10. So Tom was our crazy king of the last episode. Tom, what are we playing tonight?
Well, we're playing Halo Reach, so I figured we would also play Halo Reach.
Good thinking.
And I was thinking we play Juggernaut on Zealot.
Wow.
First guy did not do Halo 3, I think. I think we played Halo 3 the entire time.
Pretty much every time. Yeah.
Did anyone pick Halo 2?
I think we played Halo 2 once.
I feel like Halo 2.
I think our first episode, yeah.
Felt right. We felt like
Juggernaut's a new one, though.
How do you play Juggernaut? I forgot.
Work together to take down the Juggernaut. Beware, you kill the Juggernaut, you become the Juggernaut, only the Juggernaut can win.
Juggernaut.
The B Juggernaut.
It's oddball, but you're not carrying an oddball. You're just a souped up mofo.
Beautiful. All right. Well, we'll be continuing on the next episode with our game of Halo Reach. The next 4 missions: Oni Sword Base, Nightfall, on the tip of the spear, just the tip, and a long night of solace.
I think you skipped a part there, Jim.
What?
I think you skipped my joke.
Oh. I gotta go. Do your joke and we'll cut it in.
All right, you all ready?
Ready.
Let's do it.
If doom is eternal, and Halo is infinite, then what is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. That's bitches.
Wow.
You can probably keep that out.
Once again, thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you back for the next installment of
A great journey.
Great
journey.
Hey, it's Tom, one of your hosts here on The Great Journey. We hope you enjoyed the show, and if you want to connect with us, you can find us on most podcast platforms, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at The Great Journey Pod. If you'd like to support the show, you can do so at patreon.com/thegreatjourneypod. Thank you for listening, and we hope to see you for the next chapter of The Great Journey, The Great Journey, The Great Journey.
Where's security? You can't just walk through a
there's a
turnstile.
Halo TSA.
Exactly, that's what I'm getting at.
Maybe it just scans you as soon as you touch the turnstile.
It could be. Sir, put
And
your
just
plasma
zaps
pistol
you.
in the tray.
You just
All frag grenades and shotguns must be left outside the gate.
please take your laptops and tablets out of your backpack.
Yeah, right.
I just need to check inside your ass.
And our podcast goes to a higher
We're
rating.
canceled. That's it.
Wait, what's the radio? How many swear words on a radio station before you get fined?
No. You're the cop in this show, James. You got to know that.
I think we might be way past that number anyways.
I think so too.
I can edit that out.
Don't.